All right, so welcome in here with Mike Muse. You hear him on Sway in the morning on Shade 45.
Right, Mike Muse.
You see him here at ABC as a contributor.
Start out with the basics. What exactly is Cloudflare? What was impacted?
On pop culture and politics and really everything. And then you also have your own podcast. I am Mike Muse. So we're switching the positions and we're asking you questions. I'm going to do a formal introduction about what If You Can Make It Here is all about. But I'm researching you and I'm looking on your social media. You hang with a pretty cool crowd. For people who are just now listening, we're going to show this picture, but you're hanging out with Michael B. Jordan, Ryan Coogler, at some fancy brunch. You meet so many stars. Are you ever starstruck?
That's a good question. Am I ever starstruck? There are some people I am in awe of. So yes. And I am one of those individuals who is in the media industry that is not jaded. I am pinching myself every day that I get the chance to have the career that I have. My career is very made up. I did not go to school for journalism. Media was never in my destination. I went to college for engineering. So I did industrial engineering. I did nuclear chemical research. And I thought I was going to work in the consulting realm. I thought I was going to go back to school and get a JD MBA. I was going to become senior vice president of some corporation. Right. I was going to retire at the age of 45, as one does. And then I was going to throw my name in the ring for politics. And so that was the vision I had for myself. And so what I'm doing right now is not the vision.
Which is, to me, that's so interesting because you, in a lot of ways, engineered your job today. And that's important because you talked about your engineering interests at the beginning. So just to catch everybody up, this is If You Can Make It Here. I'm Mike Marza, and I'm leading us down this path to figure out how people like you make it in this city and where you started from. So you go from hanging out with Michael B. Jordan, Ryan Coogler, Denzel Washington types of the world at these really amazing events where you're connecting with so many different people. But it started way back when in Lansing, Michigan, where you grew up. You went to public high school, right?
Yeah, I went to public high school, Everett High School. So I went K through 12 was a public school education. And we always talk about Lansing School District was so special in that time period. You know, you cover politics very often and you cover local news, and we always talk about people don't enjoy paying taxes, and I understand that, but there's something that said when your city has a really great tax revenue base, what it can generate for the city. So in Lansing, Michigan, home of the manufacturing, when I was growing up, it was GM, it was Ford, and so you had 3 manufacturing facilities cranking out 3 shifts. And so that is an incredible economic engine model. And then we're the state capital, so you have state employees. We have a wonderful community college, Lansing Community College, and so it was a large campus. So you have tax revenue coming from that. Michigan State's in our backyard, so you have professors who living there. East Lansing, obviously, but they live in Lansing. And so it was just this really robust economy.
Which helped fund the school.
It helped fund the schools. We were a Blue Ribbon School of Choice Award from President Clinton.
What were you like in school?
Oh, my God. Jesus, Mike. Okay. Here we go. I am exactly how you see me now. If you can imagine, I was class president my junior, senior, my sophomore, junior, and senior year. Shocked, right?
Yeah.
I was homecoming king in high school. I was a drum major in high school. So, super underachiever.
Yeah, right? That's all?
That was all. I was a student representative for our school board of education. The mayor appointed me the youth representative of our city of Lansing. And so exactly how you see me, Mike, now, not much has changed. And when I went to Michigan, I was just wanted to be an engineer.
So back that up, because I mean, so you go to this amazing school, Blue Ribbon School, public school, and you decide to go into engineering. But I mean, you're a social butterfly. You're out there talking to all these people. Why? Not to say that engineers aren't.
No,
but
you're right.
But what led you into the world of being an industrial engineer?
There was 2 things. One, my AP chemistry teacher, Miss Ginther, she told me, she said, Mike, I know you want to do this engineering thing, but she said, you shouldn't do it. She said, you're too personable. But Mike, I love the challenge. She said, you should do something in business. And for me, at the time, you know, I wasn't really familiar with private equity and investment banking. And so I was like, oh, that's just like marketing. I was like, that's not a challenge, right? So I enjoyed a challenge. Like I was taking classes at Michigan State when I was in high school, right? So I enjoy competitiveness. I enjoy academic competitiveness, right? I loved being the smart guy, right? And so I didn't think business was smart. And so I went for a challenge, and I thought engineering was going to be a challenge. But what did it for me was that I had one internship the summer after my freshman year at GM. My second internship was at Motorola in Phoenix, and it was there that I said, this is not for me.
So take me to that point. So you're in this internship. What are you doing in Arizona? What do they have you do to get a sample of what that world could be like?
Yeah, and so I was doing what is a topic du jour right now, which is working with semiconductor chips.
Which people now talk about, and before people were saying, what?
They were
chips?
talking about it.
Are you talking about Pringles?
Yeah.
Are you talking about Doritos?
I had to explain it in that capacity.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
It's like, what is this? And now it's like all the rage. So you're working with these chips.
With these semiconductor chips.
Okay.
And so I was doing analysis, stress test, how to best create and manufacture it to get the best output and for what we needed for it. I was enjoying it, but every day, Mike, I had to wear like this white jump bunny suit, I think they called it. And I had to go to this lab, and I'm surrounded by these brilliant people. And then they had their cubicles, and they had like their patent plaques hanging from their cubicles, and the personalities just wasn't fitting. I loved them. They were amazing humans, but I was just like, I can't see myself coming in here from 9 to 5 being surrounded by patent plaques. I love a good academic challenge, but
you saw your vision.
Even I have a limit.
So you're thinking, this can't be my life.
And so as a result of that, I said, I can't do this. But Mike, unfortunately, and I pray times have changed. Back then at the University of Michigan, the College of Engineering, even to this day, Michigan is one of the top 10 College of Engineering programs. If you were to transfer out of the College of Engineering and let's say major in English or say major in something else, it was like this invisible scarlet letter. It was like you couldn't handle it.
Like you failed
weren't
in some
smart
way.
enough.
Wow.
Right? And so you had to transfer out. And at 19 years old, I was so concerned about individuals who I would never see again in my lifetime, what they thought of me, that I wouldn't be able to be smart enough to finish this degree. And so I stuck with it because of this social peer pressure of I don't want to be looked at as like being dumb. And so I stuck with it and I finished it. But I knew then I wasn't going to do it.
You're there and you graduate and you got your degree.
Homecoming king too in Michigan,
Homecoming,
by the way.
Yeah,
Shocker.
and president of your fraternity.
Yep.
So again, taking the same sort of theme where you're a man of the people.
Yeah.
And then you say, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to move to Florida.
Yeah.
And become a bartender.
Yeah.
And by the way, you didn't even drink at that time.
Didn't even drink.
So what were you thinking at that point?
At the time, I was like, oh, it'll be fun. I'll get a chance to meet people. I'll save some money. Because, oh, by the way, I'm not telling my parents this grand scheme, right? Because my parents thinking I am delaying my start date from a major consulting firm.
Which was here in New York, right?
He was in New York. Yeah. Little unbeknownst to them, that wasn't the case at all. It was already a done deal. But I said, I have to have a plan to tell my parents. And so I said, my parents knew I needed a break because they knew I was such an overachiever and super busy. And so they knew I was saving some money. I was going to backpack Europe, and then I was going to start my job here in the city. But I was like, I'm going to go back to grad school. I was just thinking what the outcomes were. And then at the time, a buddy of mine, Marcus Collins, he calls me up and he's like, hey, I want you to manage this music production company. I said, absolutely not. I want nothing to do with the music. Music people are stupid. The media industry, they're dumb, right? Because this is me, right? Invisible scarlet letter mindset, right? Wow. And so he kept calling. I said, what do you want with me? Like, why do you keep calling? He said, he said the reasons why. And then he said something really interesting, Mike. He said, at the end of the day, Mike, you're not doing nothing else but bartending. And that just hit my soul, something so cold. I was like, you're right. Let me give it a shot. At the time, a fraternity brother of mine, sister works in the music industry. I said, yo, Jay, can I call Joy? I have some questions. I think I might get in the music business. He said, sure. I talked to Joy Mitchell, and she says, Mike, read this book, All You Need to Know About the Music Business by Donald Passman. After you read it, give me a call. I'll walk you through the business, and you can determine if you want to or not. Sure. Go to Barnes & Nobles, get the book, read it in one sitting, because obviously that's what you do. And I was like, oh, I know everything. And then I didn't even call Joy back. I was like, I'm in.
You're ready. You're locked in.
And then that's how my journey begins.
Yes, so then you got into music, and then you liked it so much that you started your own record label.
Yep. So I went into business with Marcus Collins, and so we started our own record label, Muse Recordings. We focused on pop rock and R&B, and we had incredible success. But that really actually begins, I think, the story of that transitional period that allowed me to blend this intersectionality of politics and pop culture. We had all this money. And so I said, I don't want to spend this money on one artist or one release. And so we had this idea, we'll call it a project. Essentially, it was a compilation album, but essentially it was a poll. I was really trying to survey the audience to figure out who did they like the most, right? And depending on who they like the most, then we'll dedicate resources around the first project.
Right.
Obviously, bring everybody else along too as well, but it was that. And I said, okay, we'll call it Mark's Project, for the producer. And so at the time, I was like, well, we got to have this record release party, as one does. I said, you know what? We're an independent record label. I want to make some noise, right? I don't want to do it at a nightclub because that's predicted. That's predictable.
Yeah.
So I said, let's get Detroit Yacht Club. And then I said, I don't want to do a DJ, but I want to have like an orchestra.
Because
so
you had moved to Detroit by
Yeah, by then
yeah.
I was Detroit. So I want to have an orchestra because that's not expected, right?
Yeah.
And then I said, you know what? Typically labels, they'll have like a liquor sponsor, sponsor them. I said, no, I want Starbucks. I want Starbucks to sponsor me because at the time, like they were white hot. If you had a Starbucks cup walking around, you were seen as cool.
It was a symbol.
Chic. It was a symbol.
Yeah.
Knew nobody at Starbucks. I went to the corner store and I was like, I talked to your manager. They laughed at me. But I have a belief that there is a yes behind every no. And in that moment, I said, let me speak to your boss, like district manager, regional manager. There goes the story. I meant corporation. The corporate was like, yo, if we give you this money, you leave us alone. I'm making this story very quickly. And I was like, sure, but you have to allow me to say Starbucks Presents. You have to say Starbucks Presents Muse Recording.
Which is the branding that you wanted to differentiate yourself from all the other types of parties and releases.
You got it. And they came. They was like, this is amazing. We want to do a full partnership with you. And so we performed in Starbucks across the country. We had our album on the shelves. And then there goes that story. And then once you get Starbucks, other brands come along the way. Big brands. We've got Starbucks, Chrysler, McDonald's, NFL, the NBA, etc. I'm living in New York City, having a great time. I got in the cover of Cranes in New York twice in less than 6 months.
So how did you make that jump from Detroit to New York?
It was just this moment. Lynn Burnett, at the time, I called him my mentor. I still revere Lynn Burnett. At the time, Lynn Burnett was the editor-in-chief of Vibe magazine. And I was taking meetings about once a month. We would drive from Detroit to New York to really network with an industry. I'm a big believer in whatever space that you are operating in, you have to show up and you have to be immersed in that space. And so we were driving to New York pretty much once a month, just taking meetings, being a part of the business. And so I had a meeting with Lynn. And so in the meeting, Lynn just had like this come to Jesus moment. He was like, Mike, he was like, I can't help you if you're in Detroit. Things here are spontaneous. If I want you to meet such and such, I want to have that meeting later on that evening or set up coffee with you the next day. I can't do it if you're in Detroit. I said, you know what, Lynn, you're right. I said, I'm going to move here. I walked up to his office. I called a buddy of mine who's living in New York. I said, do you have any connection to an apartment? He says, I don't, but there's a room available in my apartment if you want to come. I was like, sure. I called my landlord. I gave them 30-day notice. And then I called my mom that night. And I was like, I'm moving to New York. 30 days later, I'm living in New York City.
Biggest city in the country.
Yeah.
And the greatest city in the world in so many ways, filled with inspiration and ambition. And so you're here in New York.
Yeah.
But you're also starting to make radio appearances across the country. You were on a radio show in Chicago, but you were here in New York. It was Tony's show, right? Somebody's show?
Tony's skill. You've done your homework.
I knew I had to come correct when I'm talking to Mike Muse.
This is why I said yes. So, wow.
So
you really did your homework, bro. Yes, Tony Skio. It was midday drive in Chicago. Me and a buddy of mine. Oh my God, I'm blanking his name. He's gonna kill me. I wasn't expecting you to go to Tony Skio radio show. That's insane. I'm gonna think of his name really quick. But anyway, so he called. He's like, "Yo, we got this opportunity. I would love to rock with you on this." And so basically, we will call in for about 30 minutes, about an hour actually. And the first half of the hour was to discuss the business of music.
Okay. Which you knew all about.
I knew all about. Yeah. How to start a record label, publishing, producing, album releasing.
From scratch, by the way, which is so interesting. And that really embodies exactly what we're trying to do here is find out how you take a nugget of ambition, explode it into something amazing, and then inspire others to create this whole community of like-minded people.
Yeah.
You were appearing on this show. The first half was talking about business of music, but you also got your name out there. You also were able to add other things eventually. How did it go from this appearance in Chicago to then adding more? And because I know you love that, this confluence of topics. It's because there aren't enough hours in the day for Mike Muse. That's what we've determined in the first,
Mike, I
14
get bored.
minutes. Yes.
I get bored.
Yeah, I can see that, right?
I get really bored.
They loved you in Chicago.
So them in Chicago, and in this moment now, so you have to kind of picture it, right? Like, this is music, the height of the music.
What year was this?
This is like 2005, 6, 7. This is 2005 as we get to 2007, which is really important. Height of the music business, budgets are flowing, tours are happening, everyone is charting. It's a really abundance in the music business. Movies are big. we're doing Fashion Week in Bryant Park when it was in the tents in Bryant Park. I'm sitting front row. Baby Fat is premiering. I mean, Gwen Stefani's Lamb collection, I'm there for that. Like, I am there for all the moments. I was there with Marc Jacobs in the Armory when we had to wait for 2 hours for Madonna to come out. And I've seen Marc Jacobs grow in size, shrink in size, both literally and figuratively. And so I go back that far. Zach Posen. And so these were these big moments, the Grammys, the VMAs in Miami and LA. And I'm there for all of these moments. And then this guy named, at the time, Senator Barack Obama.
Hope is the insistence that no matter how tough our circumstances, there are better days ahead.
Decides to announce his candidacy in January of 2007. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I got a call from them in March. And they said, somebody has recommended you to our campaign. Would you be interested? And I was like, to do what?
Right.
They said to be part of our finance committee. I said, listen, once I learned what that was, I said, nope, not interested.
No.
I've never done a political fundraiser in my life. I've never asked $1 for politics. Absolutely not. I'm not interested, but good luck to your guy. That's what I said.
Yeah, because at the time, people don't remember, maybe they don't remember, but at the time, now former President Obama was just an up-and-comer.
So they said, and I said, well, why would you guys want me? And they said all these things I just talked to. The confluence, I love that word, of culture. I'm in the space, right? Like I'm really a part of the fabric of pop culture. And they said, you can bring all that energy. Remind you, he was not supposed to win, right? You can bring all that energy. They said, come to one meeting, it can't hurt. I was like, that's fair. I go to this meeting, and Mike, this was my true thoughts. Honestly, this is my true thoughts. I was at the meeting, and I was like, he's going to lose.
You thought President Obama was going to lose?
Yes, because this was at the time Senator Hillary Clinton's. Mm-hmm. It was her time. I had read her books. You know, I was a geek. So I actually skipped school to go hear President Clinton's speech at Michigan State, right? Super geek.
And the future we're going to build. A country where the economy works for everyone, not just those at the top.
Right? And so I drank the Kool-Aid. Like, this is the Clinton. This is who he's not.
Big supporter.
And I was like, he's going to lose. I said, but you know what? He's a black man. I'm a black man. I want to make sure he has a good time losing. I said, I don't want him to have a bad experience losing. That was my goal.
Wow.
Is to make sure at the time Senator Barack Obama had a good time losing, if you can imagine.
So you joined.
I joined right there. I was like, oh, I am in because I want to support him no matter what. And I am there with him until the wheels fall off, until whatever primary we get to, and then we'll do a big party at the end to say goodbye.
Well, not to spoil the ending, but we know that he went on to win. But what was it like? What was it? The people, what? He won?
Yeah.
What happened?
Plot twist.
Yeah, exactly. Let me read that. Take me through the first moments when you met him.
Bro, it was crazy. I can't begin to tell people how this was an improbable campaign. The first fundraiser I did for him was in a brownstone in Brooklyn Heights. We probably had 30 people.
He used to live in Brooklyn back when he was in school.
When he was in school here. We probably had 30 people there, right? Literally. And I mean, he's there. We had name tags, right? I can still picture it. Like, I'm walking around introducing him to people. Like, oh, you should really meet him. And I'm getting my friends. Like, no, he's such a really great guy. Like, I don't know if he's going to win, but he's such a great guy. We just have to support this guy. Can you imagine? Could get people to go to the website, couldn't get people to give a $25 check, and then we know how the story ends. Iowa happened, and then everyone started to believe, and even myself was like, oh my gosh, there's a chance, right? And next thing you know, I made history for being one of the youngest persons to raise over $1 million for a presidential candidate at that time. This was before Citizens United. This was before Super PACs. This was really one coffee meeting at a time.
Not to get too political, and I do want to continue the conversation about your journey and hear and even more of what you've been doing, but I was thinking about it the other day because I covered the presidential campaign in 2012 of Mitt Romney. Mm-hmm. And I think about that was the last kind of time or tone that the country was in a different space mentally. Mm-hmm. When you think about back then, during that run of this improbable candidacy at the beginning, can you describe what it was like on the inside, viewing what the country was like? Because hope and change it really was the main theme of what he was campaigning on.
I'm really glad that you asked that question because it allowed me, when you are with a presidential campaign from the ground up, And when you're with a presidential campaign that is an improbable presidential campaign with a black man experiencing all the things that just was never determinative that a black man could ever win. And so you're with this guy who has this audacity of hope
the book
that he could do. It's a unique experience because when you're there from the ground up, you get a chance to grow with the campaign, see the campaign grow, and then you get a chance to see how Americans begin to change their viewpoint right in front of you. You are going to battleground states. Not only were we fundraising, but this was all hands on deck. Every vote counts. So you're knocking on doors in battleground states. I remember this is interesting. I remember going to Milwaukee to do some door knocking, and I knock on the door, and this lady opens up, and I see her husband in the background. And so we're doing the things that you do in a campaign, and she talks to me about the struggle that they're having at the time with healthcare. And she pointed to her husband, and she told me all the challenges that her husband is experiencing. And Mike, in that moment, I was just like, oh my God, when you hear these political candidates talk about, I met Susie in Ohio, I met Bobby in Georgia, they told me, I never connected it. I thought they were just being performative. And I was like, oh, these are real stories. These are real people. And then you see the hope that these people have in placing their bet on a candidate that's going to come through for them. And so when you see that and you see the transformation and you see the interworkings of a campaign, and then he wins, and then I was fortunate enough to still be a part of the ecosystem and universe for the full 8 years, you get a chance to see how government works and how government functions. But you really get to see it from a very inside perspective. Because not only am I now working with President Obama, but pretty much every major senator that you can think of, every major congressperson that you can think of, I'm assisting their campaigns, their re-elects. I assisted, at the time, Mayor Cory Booker's re-elect for Newark mayor. Transition helped him win for his Senate. I knew Hakeem Jeffries when he was a state assemblyman in New York. We used to do lunch once a month and just hang out. We used to party together in D.C. He was just a really good friend, and now, look where he is today. And so just seeing that ground up, I worked with Mayor Bloomberg for his third term, controversial third term with de Blasio, and I'm appointed to the Mayor's Advisory Committee under Bloomberg, same thing for de Blasio. So being able to see things at a national level, state level, and local level, it just gave me a really interesting purview into governance, into our democracy, and into the exchange of ideas, and how when the government works, it really works on behalf of the people. And then, Mike, what I recognized I was doing underneath Obama was I was bringing in the pop culture moments of my life. So the actors, the celebrities that I knew, I would pair them up with the politics. And
who are some of the people that you work with to bring in to the sphere?
I've never been asked that question before. I think I'm gonna hold that one.
Yeah, no, well, and it's probably
but there's some bold-faced names. It's really interesting. It's hard to really imagine, but in 2007, we didn't see this intersection of pop culture and politics.
Well, so I was going to ask, when did it change? Because back then it was different.
It was. So you had Kennedy. Kennedy brought like this Hollywood-esque moment into it, but from a recreational perspective. Clinton brought this pop cultural element into it. Think about playing the saxophone on the Arsenio Hall show. He brought Hollywood in, not from a recreational perspective. Kennedy, I look at as being recreational with Hollywood. Clinton, I look at as being relationship-driven with Hollywood, but still not tapping into relationships to activate on politics and policy and governance. And then Obama comes in, and we were able to tap in recreational, but then tap in to activate culture in order to help create movements. And so I think that's when it happened. But at the time, it wasn't. So I was part of that bringing in these celebrities and guests. I remember talking to certain celebrities. I was like, listen, you should really headline this with me. And I was like, it'll be great for you. Like, it'll help your platform. You get a chance to talk to the principal about the issues you care about, and maybe they'll listen. Right. And they were like, really? And I was like, yeah. And then they would do it, and they would host some galas for me. I'm sure the internet would do its job on that one. I had some individuals host brunches for me. And so then you started to see this intersection. And then that's, Mike, when I saw that began to this intersectionality of combining pop culture and politics together in order to create moments. And for me, I've always had this thesis that the reason why people don't participate in democracy in our government, because they never saw it working for them. They have always thought it was for them, those, and others, those who are in media behind microphones and behind television screens, those who work in Wall Street, those who work for big law firms. It wasn't for the average person, but it's because the way we talked about it. We've always talked about it from this very esoteric place and perspective. We always were very intentional, I think individuals were, with the language, keeping the separation and keeping people needing to think they're the smartest in the room so that they can, I wouldn't say manipulate, but so they can always have leverage on how they wanted the American public to vote in favor or not. But I was like, if people can just understand how lifestyle is impacted by policy, they'll engage. And so I will go around saying, look, those Nikes that you love, there's a policy associated with that.
Well, and you're seeing that now with the affordability conversation and the tariffs playing out, and people saying it's not whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, an independent, or whatever you affiliate with as far as a party. If you can't buy eggs or a gallon of milk, or you can't feed your kid, that's a big deal no matter what your party is.
I go further though, Mike. So yes, but even then that's still esoteric.
Yeah.
Right? Tariffs. What is that? Right?
Right. And it's such a broad term.
I hear it's taxes, I hear it's not taxes. I don't know.
Right.
Like eggs. Yeah. But if you say, no, that denim jacket you love, that's a commodity. That's a trade import. You love going to Rose all day brunch. There is a committee, the Senate Agricultural Committee, that is responsible for the grapes and prices and imports and exports, that has an impact on if your bottle of Rose at brunches all day is going to be $29.99 or $59.99. Right? You love going to Tulum. If you go from JFK to Tulum, that's a port. Usually that's a diplomatic conversation that took about anywhere from 5 to average 10 years to open up just a port from JFK to Tulum. We just had this port about 5 years ago or 8 that we celebrated, going from JFK to Nairobi. That was 10 years in the making. I remember going to the celebration at the Rainbow Room for that, right? And I was like, why are we celebrating like this? And it was like this diplomatic achievement. Right. And so that's how simple
it's interesting,
is, right? And so when you talk about it from that, and that's what I was doing, and then that's how I'm here talking to you.
Well, and so how did you go from, you worked with the Obama campaign and then his 2 terms in the White House, but then at some point along there, you kept adding more things to, I'm going to call you Slash. Or you know what I mean? It's just like slash, because you know, or dash, just because of all these titles that you have. But it's really interesting because I think that that's your DNA.
Yeah, it is. I'm glad you highlighted that, which is why I just want to say, first of all, thank you for having me.
Of course.
Thank you for being curious. And thank you for asking incredible questions that really get, I think, to the heart of things. I've been a big fan of yours for a while, and you always do that with everyone. So thank you for your gift of journalism. I'm having a really great time. It comes from, Mike, this idea. I was not, at the time, we have terms called founder, right? Now we use the term intersectionality. Now we use the slash generation. But Mike, people used to laugh at me. People used to make fun of me.
Really?
What is it you do? Like, that's not a job. Like, this intersectionality of pop culture. And then people ask the most disrespectful questions. I'm looking at all you who've asked me this question. Do you get paid for that?
Wow.
I would never ask you, do you get paid for that? There was this sitcom that I know you know called Martin.
Oh, yeah.
And there was this character on the name Tommy, and no one really knew what Tommy did. People used to call me Tommy. It was so disrespectful and so hurtful.
And for those of you who don't know, Tommy was just kind of floating around. Yeah.
And people didn't see value in my work, right? People didn't see value in what it is that I did. I got told no more often than I got told yes. I was constantly going against the grain. It was to the point where probably about 10 years ago, I had thought about moving back to Michigan. I was like, this really isn't working. Like, people are not seeing it, they're not getting it, they're not buying in. And when they do buy in, they're not willing to put the value behind it. And I was like, maybe I should go back to Michigan, resettle, maybe go to LA, maybe go finally get that grad degree.
Right.
And I was like, it wasn't working.
So what happened in that moment? Because I always like to think of life as peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, and at the end of the run, you look up at the scoreboard and you hope you have more peaks than valleys. But you wouldn't have valleys without the peaks. You would have peaks without the valleys. And so knowing all of that, 10 years ago when you were at a crossroads, what was it about that moment that sent you into the direction that you're in now? Because I want to hear how you got to Sway in the morning. I want to hear how you got to ABC. What was that moment that said, you know what, I'm gonna take this path versus go back to Michigan?
The phone started ringing with more frequency. And when I say the phone started ringing with opportunity. That was both an opportunity, and then phone started ringing with an opportunity with a value attached to it. And so it would go ring once every 6 months, to then once every 3 months, into once a month, then to like every week, and then to daily. Thank God for that. And that began. I was like, oh my God, people are starting to finally get it. But I think the lesson in that, though, is to embrace your different, embrace your crazy, and to hold on as long as you possibly can. And if you truly believe in the work that you're doing, results will happen and the phone will eventually ring, because it just takes one yes. How I got to Sway was during the Obama time. We had a mutual friend, and she was always trying to connect us, and it didn't work for whatever reason, and there was no like disrespect or anything like that. It just didn't work out. She literally sat us down at her birthday dinner next to each other, and we were just like, okay, hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? Yeah, I mean,
you and Sway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like really nothing there. And then one day we had a conversation. He was like, yo, like you're really smart and you're really cool. And I think politics is going to be a really big deal in pop. I keep trying to emphasize politics wasn't pop culture in 08, 09.
Yeah.
We have to suspend what we think of it now. It wasn't.
Right, we're so locked in the present day of social media and everything else.
I remember, and I'm always giving Sway his flowers. I remember I pitched to many hip-hop morning shows, and I pitched them. Hey, there's this intersection like hip-hop and politics and policy. Like, y'all would love to rock. Mike, get out of here. That's not a thing. Yada, yada, yada. I see you talking now. But Sway hits me up, and I was like, yo, I would love to. And he said, listen, it's only going to be like 3 minutes. Just call in. Because remember, it's a morning hip-hop show.
Right.
But hip-hop transcends race, class, culture, and identity. And it's on Shade 45, Eminem's platform. And so I said, okay, cool. I call 3 minutes, do a quick hit, as we say in media, and I hang up. He calls. He was like, yo, people are really liking this. He was like, you're kind of good. He was like, let's extend to 5 minutes on the phone. I said, okay, fine. He says, yo, why don't you come in? And he was like, and he and I laugh about this day. He was so shady with this. He was just like,
I can picture him saying it just like this, too. Yeah,
he was like, but you only can stay for 7 minutes in the studio. Then you got to leave. I was like, okay, rude, but okay, fine. I literally would come in, do a thing for 7 minutes on a microphone, and get out.
Know also that he had a lot of presidents of HBCUs come to the White House, and he did a big meeting. Was that effective?
Yeah.
And long story short, eventually the 3 minutes on the phone turns to 7 minutes in studio, turns into 15 minutes, and then now I'm officially a co-host of Sway in the Morning. Because the audience grew, I grew with the audience, and we really was able to make incredible inroads. And the beauty of that is that it went from the audience asking me, like, not wanting me on, because we weren't blending politics at the time. Why is he on? Sway, why do you have him on this? No one cares about politics. Get him off. He's a hack. I mean, we're live, and so we don't censor calls. People can say whatever they want, and you guys did say some things. But Sway always gave him flowers and credit. He kept at it. He said, no, there's something here. And Sway also too appreciated the idea that I think to this day, and I'm very public about this across platforms, I don't like the way media covers politics. I don't like that combative Republican, Democrat, strategist, go at it. I don't like the entertainment value. And I know I'm saying that on the media platform. I believe people don't learn. And I talked to Sway about that. And he held the line. He didn't fall to the trappings of a fight.
No, it's a conversation.
He didn't fall to the trappings of a battle.
Yeah.
And people will call up, I want Mike to battle, blah, blah, blah. He said, this isn't what Mike does.
It's not a cipher.
Mike, yeah, he's like, Mike doesn't do
right.
this. He said, Mike wants to educate.
Yeah.
And it's been beautiful to see the audience grow from that to like earlier this week, or in recent times, I've had Supreme Court conversations on air. I did a Socratic method with the audience on whether or not anyone who is deemed intellectually disabled should be executed, looking at the Eighth Amendment from cruel and unusual punishment.
I love the questions like Heather B. and everybody chimes in.
It's on a hip-hop
great
morning show. And I always give Sway his flowers for that. And so that's how Sway. And then the Suits, I was calling the Suits at SiriusXM. It was like, yo, you're smart. It's time for your own show. What's up, brother? It's your boy, Mike Muse, from the Conversation, the Mike Muse Show. I am so excited to be in conversation with my next guest because he is just too fly. I was like, I agree. And that's how I got the Mike Muse Show. And then how I got to ABC was, fun story, there was this movie called Moonlight. And I'm sitting on my couch, Mike. Again, these phone calls. That's when you started asking, when did it set in?
Okay.
The first one was Sway, phone call. The second one was from the film studio of Moonlight. And they said, hey, we got your name from someone. We hear you're one of the best moderators in the country. Would you mind being part of our Oscar campaign? Now, I know what it is now, but then I was like, I don't know what that means.
Right, Oscar campaign.
Yeah,
People don't realize, but they actually campaign
Yeah.
to get in consideration for films.
I didn't know that. And I said, what does that mean? And they said, well, I said, don't you guys just go on Good Morning America and like Jimmy Fallon? And they was like, yeah,
Jimmy Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel, thank you. And it was like, yeah, yes, we do. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, what do you want with me?
Yeah.
They said, we want you to conduct conversations with our nominated cast members in front of the Academy voting members. I was like, wow. I said, okay. I was like, when would you need me? And it was like, in 2 weeks. This is exactly how the conversation went. I was like, okay. I said, but I haven't seen your film. And they was just like, well, Mike, we can solve for that. They said we can send you a screener. Again, I didn't know the lingo.
Right, because you didn't know how it goes.
Yeah, I didn't know people got screeners. I was like, okay. And I was like, but I have to be honest with you too as well. I was like, I have to see it first. And I said, if I don't like it, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And they said, okay.
What were some of the most memorable moments doing that? Because that sounds fascinating.
The best moment I had was, so fast forward, I agreed to it. I love the film. I was with the entire nominated cast.
Yeah.
And I remember before we go on, no one knows me, right? Mind you. The cast doesn't know me. The audience, I'm not known yet, right? I'm not this public figure as I am today. And the publicists, publicists can be just incredibly cruel people.
I love that, by the way.
Yeah.
Just, you have receipts. We can air it out right here on If You Can Make It Here.
just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
I knew it's going to come a time where I'll have the reverse the mic, right? And I can look dead at the camera. But with that, this publicist was like, yo, Barry only has 3 minutes with you and he's leaving.
Yeah.
I mean, she was really... And I was like, okay, lady. I was like, I don't know you. I don't know him. I'm here to do my job.
Trying to help you out, really.
Whatever y'all need.
Yeah.
I mean, and they were like, we're going to send him on the end. I mean, this is how they're talking to me. We're going to send him on the end because we need to usher him out. And I'm like, okay. And my first question goes to Barry. Look, I want to respect the process. He needs to leave. I don't know this man. And so I asked him the first question. And mind you, the Oscar campaign, they've already done the press run for the release. So this is post. I asked him one question, and he says, I have never been asked that question before on this entire run, even during the marketing and promotion of the film. I was like, oh, nice. We get to talking. I ask a follow-up question. I just want to keep going with him so he can get out. He said, again, no one caught that. And he was like, that was one of the most important parts of the scene. And now his publicist is trying to wave him to come, and he pushes her off. He said, no, I'm staying.
Wow.
He said, I had to stay. The next one was Mahershala Ali. He's on the panel.
Yeah.
And I asked Mahershala a question, and Mahershala just goes on this tangent, and I'm just looking, and he catches himself, and he says, but that's not what you asked me. I was like, nope, I was waiting for you to finish. You know what I mean? And then he said, wow. And then he went back and asked. And so it was moments like that. And it was moments like that and I'm going somewhere with that. Fast forward, I get invited to the Oscars that year. Not because of the campaign, but because another fun fact, I had created or co-founded the Careers in Film Summit with the Oscars, with the Academy. And so me and my partner, Bettina Fisher, we created an 8-hour summit where we bring over 2,000 students from Los Angeles School District. And my idea was I wanted to expose kids from LA Unified to the opportunities in film. We focus so much on above the line, like the talent. Mm-hmm. That was like, there's so much money and careers that could be made as a lighting person, right? Hair and makeup person and producer. So we really focus on the below the line. It's an incredible moment. And so I was invited because of that. Fast forward though, there was this big agent at the time, and he and I talk about this all the time. He was huge. He still is really big, but he was, I'm nervous.
Who wasn't?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna say I'm nervous because the red carpet is intimidating. This is my first major moment, and I'm by myself because really I don't have pull for +1. And I see him. I'm like, yo, I'm by myself. Can I tag along? I'm like shaking. He was like, Mike, you're crazy. Come along. He was with his wife. So he's a big man, meaning like in Hollywood, so I step aside every time somebody comes up. So I'm not jockeying for anything.
You just want to observe the process.
I just need a security blanket because I'm nervous, right? Like I'm literally like about to on myself, literally. It's intimidating, bro. And then so this lady, I step to the side. She says, Mike, don't move. She says, I actually know who you are. I was like, what, you do? You know what I mean? Like I'm not known yet.
Right.
And she was like, yeah. She was like, I said it in one of your talks for Moonlight. And she said, it's because of you I changed my vote.
Wow.
I voted for Moonlight.
Wow.
That's what I said.
And that was a big year for Moonlight.
They won.
I know.
And Mike, at that point, clearly because of me. I'm like, oh, they won because of me. I'm literally thinking this, right? Can you imagine? I'm so sorry, Barry Jenkins. Do not be mad at me, right? And Plan B, love you guys, right? Jeremy, what's up? But I'm like, oh, they clearly won because of me and my brilliant moderating.
Of course. Absolutely.
No lie. I call a friend of mine who's a publicist. She's a good one, Andrea. And I said, do you know anybody at ABC? Like, literally, I land Monday. I called her on Tuesday. I was like, do you know anybody at ABC? She was like, yeah, I think I know somebody. Why? I was like, yo, Moonlight won. And think about this too as well. There wasn't a lot of social construct films like that at the time. I was like, yo, I don't know. ABC has the Oscars. If there's a film that has a social construct next year, I want to be in for commentary, like just in case.
Right.
I want to get in early, right? So she says, you're crazy. I'll call. And she calls this lady, in walked Kat McKenzie. Kat McKenzie comes in and she sits down. I pitch myself to her. She says, you're crazy. She was like, the Oscars just happened 2 days ago.
Long-time producer.
Yeah,
here at
long-time,
ABC,
yeah.
yep.
And I was like, I know, but just in case. She says, again, you're crazy. She says, sure. But she says, I'm actually working on a pilot for, at the time, ABC's digital platform before ABC News Live. And she says, we're looking for one more co-host. And she says, I think you would make a great co-host. Would you be interested? I was like, yes. And so I do as a pilot. The pilot doesn't get picked up, but Kat McKenzie and the ABC team at that moment, they kept calling me from time to time. And next thing you know, I got extended a full contract and was part of GMA3 underneath her leadership. And so Kat McKenzie brought me into ABC, and that's how I got into this ABC world.
Yeah, that's what a great story. Moonlight, by the way, great film. Set in Miami. If I'm Miami.
Miami.
And I used to live in Miami, and so I remember that neighborhood that they set that film in, and it was so powerful. And I think that's what I love about you is you connect so many different people from different walks of life together, and you've been able to propel yourself into this moment. And so now just a couple of quick hitters before we let you go, because I know you're so busy.
No.
So
sorry, I'm very long-winded too.
I could literally talk to you for hours because I think it's fascinating. Is there one thing that you haven't done, or I guess maybe the better question is, what is next for you?
Great question. I don't know. I don't do 5-year plans. I don't do 10-year plans. Because mind you, if I stuck to that plan, I was supposed to be retired and running for office.
Right, 45, the engineering, the whole thing, running for office.
I'm a big believer in that cheesy concept.
Do you still want to run for office?
No. No, I don't. I'm enjoying educating the American public the way that I do now. But I say I don't want to be too specific on what is next, because that theory that, you're so focused, there's the theory or the metaphor or parable. If you're so focused on the tree, you'll miss the forest that God is trying to give to you. And so for me, I just love to keep my options open. I don't know what's going to happen next week to me. I don't know what's going to happen in January. So, yeah.
Who is the most famous person you have in your contact list on your cell phone?
No answer. Yeah.
We're looking at the camera the whole time.
No.
Call up President Obama right now. We'll have a conversation with him right now.
There's some good ones.
I bet there is.
There's some good ones.
I
love you all.
You better have it locked.
Yeah, it is, constantly.
Favorite spot in New York? Could be a park, could be a restaurant, could be an intersection. Just favorite spot in New York City.
Yeah, there is a bench on the Hudson River Parkway that I love to sit at and smoke a cigar and be by myself and just look at the water. If I can catch it right for sunset. If not, early mornings. If not, in the evenings. Just alone time.
That's what I was going to ask you. I know you love fall, but what about nights or mornings? Are you a morning person or a night person?
It's changed. It used to be a night person. Now I'm a 5:30 a.m. guy.
You're busy.
Wake up, go to the gym. I do my meditations and the whole nine. So I enjoy the stillness of the morning.
Got about 45 seconds left. But the name of the podcast, If You Can Make It Here, obviously a riff on the lyric, right? If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. But not the lyric, but the sentence. Finish the sentence. If you can make it here, blank.
If you can make it here, you would have a very fulfilled life, full of people who have come and who have gone, who have impacted you, whether it was a 2-minute conversation you had waiting on the train platform, whether it was an hour conversation sitting next to a stranger at the bar, whether or not it was a moment you remember at the museum. There's just something very special if you can make it in New York. That means you've been open to receive all that New York has to offer and this incredible energy of the city. And that means you really took it all in.
Well, I appreciate you being here, man.
Yeah,
this is so fun. I love it. And if you'd like more conversations like this, join our community. We're trying to build out this community, learning from Mike Muse.
Guys. He's good.
Listen, we love to have these conversations. It inspires me. So if you want to join, you can subscribe, you can like. We'd love it. Also in the comments, who do you want to hear from? What inspires you? Let us know. Be part of this community as we build it, if you can make it here. I'm Mike Marza. Mike, thanks so much, man.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you soon.